Hello, and welcome to this Numeracy and Mathematics hybrid training session, which will be hosted by myself, Judy Abram, and Kate Smith. The introductory quote begins to set the scene for this presentation. The session will expand on the training around creating a culture, environment, and ethos for numeracy and mathematics, and will delve deeper into effective numeracy and mathematics learning in early level, with a focus on a primary 1 or primary 1 composite classes.
Thanks, Judy. Hello to you all. The aim of this session is to understand the importance of play pedagogy in children's mathematical development through the lens and expectations of the National Guidance Document, Realising the Ambition, considering interactions, spaces and experiences. In line with all the breakthrough curriculum training, your facilitator will pause the presentation and ensure the reflective questions engage everyone in open dialogue. This should lead to deeper thinking that is solution-focused and supports achieving very good or excellent within your school. So let's begin with a couple of mathematical challenges of our own. Before the answers appear with the next click, how do these questions make you feel? How do you think our children feel when faced with mathematical questions?
Thanks, Kate. One of the many challenges we face when considering play pedagogy in primary classes is the pressure we can face from external forces or our own beliefs and values to evidence the children's progress in key aspects of their learning. While important, this should not deter us from adopting pedagogical approaches which embrace play as the medium through which young children learn best. For play pedagogy to be effective, research has shown that a clear rationale and shared understanding of the value of play is essential. This rationale and shared understanding should emanate from the child's needs, as stated in Realising the Ambition, page 46. Every learning environment, in terms of interactions, experiences, and spaces, both outdoors and indoors, tells a story about how play is valued. The learning environment in the early stages of primary school should not look or feel starkly different from a motivating ELK environment. The level of provocation might be greater, the interaction might be more challenging, and the experiences on offer might be different, but the school environment should be conducive to learning through play. Mathematical specialists and consultants align with this national view on play pedagogy. Juliet Robertson states, many aspects of an early years maths curriculum can be addressed without the need for structured activities, but through developing the 4 R's of routines, resources, the responsibilities of adults, and reimagining the environment. Dr. Helen Williams details the importance of playful mathematics in an article for Early Education and in her book shown here. Play is intrinsically motivating. It is memorable and mindful. We can use play to make mathematics much more meaningful to the children we work with, creating a space where we can build on their prior understandings and experiences. This includes being playful in how we approach taught mathematical activities, such as collaboratively making up a simple game during a counting episode, observing, responding to, and building on children's own interests, bringing some mathematics into their natural play, for example, collecting, counting, weighing, comparing. We could place measuring tools in the role play or block play area, add scales and bun trays into the mud kitchen. As the complexity of children's mathematical play develops, Learning should be facilitated through a cylindrical process of responsive and intentional planning, observing what children say and do, interacting, if appropriate, sensitively, and then interpreting to the relevant area of maths to decide what we might do next. We need to stay connected to our learners and their interests to promote engagement and confidence in mathematics. What are they interested in doing right now? How can I link some maths into that? Putting Realising the Ambitions illustration of child-centred play pedagogy into practice.
The wording of the early level experiences and outcomes helps support a play-based curriculum approach. It advocates the implementation of a responsive and continuous play-based curriculum for children, starting with the abilities of the child. It's important for teachers to provide a blend of child-initiated and adult-initiated learning experiences through responsive and intentional planning. The emphasis should be on child-centred play pedagogy. The role of the adult in enabling mathematical learning for and with young children is a skillful and complex one. It requires adults to both take the lead from the children and to identify what they need to reinforce and extend their learning and development. The adult facilitates intentional learning the children are ready for, alongside opportunities for responsive exploration. The role of the adult is a delicate balance of supporting, enriching and proposing in one hand and giving the children space to build their own ideas on the other. Now take some time to reflect on having a playful mathematical pedagogy in your classroom.
Having considered the totality of the importance of playful mathematical pedagogy, we'll now look in more detail at interactions, spaces and experiences to support mathematical development. Firstly, interactions. In order to have high quality interactions developing children's mathematical understanding, concepts and skills, we must have positive attitudes from all staff. We need to catch ourselves saying, I'm not good at maths, I can't do maths, just in the same way as being positive about spiders develops a child not being afraid of them. We need knowledgeable staff that can recognise and extend mathematical development in children's play, bringing out the language and vocabulary and introducing concepts where appropriate. We use skilled questioning and interact in a sensitive, responsive and stimulating way to promote curiosity, independence and confidence. We listen effectively to children and they know their views are respected and acted upon. To create a situation where children have the space to say interesting things, we need first to provide something mathematically we think might fascinate them by tuning into their interests and ideas. And secondly, we have to be quiet, wait for the child to speak, and then be quiet some more in order for children to join in. Questions are often used to assess a children's knowledge or initiate an interaction. Using questions carefully, we need to use our knowledge of the child, their age and development stage, to form whether these questions are closed or open to possibility questions that demand more complex and higher order thinking. This quote from Cheeseman was as a result of working with highly effective mathematics teachers of 5 to 7-year-olds.
Our mathematics tasks need to stimulate thinking conversations with the adult playing a key role in eliciting children's mathematical thinking through sensitive repetition and some carefully chosen questions. Thinking conversations involve us being curious about our children's thinking rather than questioning children to pursue an answer. They are what is recognised in early years as sustained shared thinking. Such conversations do not have to be long or take up a lot of time. Even brief conversations can open up children's thinking. Do we make use of these characteristics in our interactions with children? Inviting children to elaborate, for example, I really want to know more. Recapping, for example, do you think this might fall if I add another brick? offering your own experience, clarifying ideas, suggesting, reminding, for example, don't forget you said this stone was heavier, explaining, encouraging further thinking, speculating, offering an alternative viewpoint, reciprocating, for example, thank goodness you moved the pebbles into the box as you counted them, I kept losing count. Open questioning, modelling thinking, reflecting. Mathematical learning requires children to make connections, and this involves an element of reflection over and above activity. An example of metacognition, or thinking about our thinking, would be children watching video clips of their play to provide an opportunity for them to focus, reflect, and discuss themselves thinking. The use of still or moving images taken of a few children can be shown to a wider group as an effective way to prompt reflection and stimulate further thinking. Images can act as prompts for us to find out what the child might know and understand, as well as providing time for children themselves to reconstruct their knowledge and push it forwards.
Thanks, Kate. Now time to reflect once again. Looking at this Play-Doh scenario, what sorts of mathematical knowledge and understanding do you think you might notice? How might you interact? And what questions might you ask, if any? Pause the video now and discuss, following which Kate will go on to talk about spaces indoors.
Welcome back, everyone. Now we're going to take a closer look at spaces. Rich, carefully considered learning spaces, both outdoor and indoor, can offer learners practical opportunities to develop number and mathematical concepts. Environments should offer open-ended experiences which motivate children to explore and investigate through play. Realising the ambition states that children following a play-based pedagogy approach benefit from spaces that are adaptive and responsive to children's emotions, interests, and needs. Displays are an area within your classroom that can be adapted regularly. Think about how interactive your maths displays are. Are they on a wall that children can reach? Could you have a 3D display space on a surface within the room that children can play with? Have you considered auditory or tactile learners when planning and updating your displays? Spaces that promote interesting opportunities for developing learning in numeracy beyond designated areas, encouraging children to connect and reinforce learning. Thinking about maths resources, these should be peppered throughout the classroom and not only confined or limited to one area. They should be visible and accessible in all play areas within the room and will include your CPA materials. Spaces that encourage and value play, fun, exploration, inquiry and movement. For example, think about the opportunities that children in your class have to stand, sit, or lie down as they play. Do you have areas where children can explore and solve problems without an adult? Spaces that provide both open-ended and structured materials which can support and challenge learning in numeracy and mathematical thinking, as well as curiosity and creativity. Selecting appropriate and engaging resources can enhance interactions, leading to creativity, curiosity, and deeper learning. For example, using real-life objects such as teapots alongside measuring jugs encourages children to explore non-standard and standard capacity and estimation. Spaces should encourage children to use and share learning in everyday experiences and real-life situations. Allowing children to reenact and link to their real-life experiences is a key feature of play that Tina Bruce discusses in her 12 features of play. Linking their play and learning to their own lives will help support consolidation and allow observing adults to identify key interests as discussed with interactions.
The same features of a successful indoor space to support a play pedagogy approach to maths should be replicated outdoors. Maths resources should be easily accessible to promote independence and not restricted to just one area in your outdoor space. Ideas of how to permeate your space with numbers can be found in the professional learning resource published by Education Scotland called Number and Number Processes, including opportunities outdoors for children to use environmental numbers with purpose, for example, having an outdoor clock. Being outdoors plays a unique role in children's development, as Robinson states in this quote. Outdoor spaces can be within the school grounds, but also beyond the gate, planned as a mathematical rich experience for children. Before we move on to look at experiences, let's take a moment to reflect on our spaces. Another reflective question. As pedagogical leaders, we should know the purpose and possibilities of the materials we provide. It is essential that we regularly evaluate how children are using the spaces within the environment and make changes and additions when required. With that in mind, how often do you review your mathematical provision to support children's interest in your classroom? Pause and have a discussion now.
Numeracy and mathematical experiences should weave, build and grow children's interests, vocabulary and knowledge. Knowledgeable practitioners can see the maths potential in any experience, be it planned or responsive. There is a richness in books and stories which we can use to capture learners' imaginations. If something is explored through a story, children can try ideas and make suggestions without fear of failing. The same could be said through the use of games. Books are a wonderful way of introducing and developing concepts with learners in a meaningful way. This slide illustrates the use of Goldilocks and the Three Bears to explore sorting, ordering, matching and measuring, and a provocation from Hansel and Gretel to find all the possible routes describing directions. Session 1 in this suite of training gives further details of maths through stories.
Thanks, Kate. We have a further slide on provocations coming up, but first, invitations. An invitation is something that gives us an idea, urge or cause to do something. It is built to invite children into a specific exploration or experience. It is based on teacher wonderings and ponderings. It provides children with new interests to pursue and engage in. An invitation could be responsive or intentional to breathe new interests into the classroom. They can be outdoors as well as inside. A provocation is something that calls forth, stirs up, or stimulates a response or action. It is built to expand or extend children's own unique ideas, interests, and theories. It is constructed from the deliberate and meaningful observation of children's pursuits. It is based on children's wonderings and ponderings. A provocation is a verb. It engages and activates children's thinking. It provides children with new experiences and connections in their pursuits of ideas, interests, and theories. A provocation challenges the next level of thinking in the child, as illustrated with the Hansel and Gretel story earlier.
Time for another reflective question. What do you think the teacher might have been inspiring the children to explore by creating balances with different objects? What learning do you think might have been observed or be able to be developed?
Thanks, Kate. Now the follow-up activity. On the Early Years portal, you'll find an Early Years numeracy audit. Take some time to complete the practitioner attitudes and the practitioner pedagogy sections from the audit. If you've completed sessions 1 and 2 of the numeracy training suite, you should have already completed the enabling environments displays and resources sections. If not, you may like to consider completing the entire audit following this session. There is guidance on how to complete this on the document. Now use this opportunity to professionally, honestly reflect on where you are now and what you and your wider team need to do next. Through this presentation, Kate and I hope to have consolidated and inspired you in your understanding of play pedagogy and its importance to develop numeracy and mathematics in your classroom through interactions, spaces and experiences. Interactions in which the role of the adults is to observe, facilitate and reflect. Spaces in which provision of rich, carefully considered learning spaces, both outdoor and indoor, and experiences that weave, build and grow children's numeracy and mathematical interests, vocabulary and knowledge. Here are the core texts we've used to create this presentation, which concludes my presentation duties, and I'll leave it to Kate with one final slide. But for now, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Judy. As James and other presenters have previously stated, this video Into Action session is part of a new approach we are introducing in an attempt to support all schools and all practitioners across SBC to engage with the same messages and activities, but at an individually convenient time. By providing video content with in-person facilitators in each school, whilst not the same as full live sessions, we can achieve widespread learning. Your feedback on how to maximise this approach is really valuable. If you have any questions or follow-up tasks linked to today's session, please contact the PL team on the email address shown. All that's left to say is thank you for your time today. Here's to making a difference to the lives and learning of our children and young people.